Welcome back to FHTV Plus. Today I am chatting with Stel from Tottenham Away, massive Spurs channel, to discuss Ange Postecoglou cracking under pressure. Stel, welcome to the channel. I'm going to get straight in. I know you're well. We've spoken backstage. Stel, we've started to see the last 3, 4, 5 weeks Ange starting to have a go at fans starting to have a pop at him at the games. He's having a little bit of interaction. He's getting very shirty with reporters and with interviewers. Is Ange Postecoglou cracking under the pressure of the utterly garbage job that he is doing?
So you don't think he's done a good job, no?
No. Funny enough, I don't know.
No. I think he's cracking under the pressure of what he's told fans, and it's coming back to bite him. It began when he first said, this is just my view, by the way. It's not any kind of proven facts, stats and all that. What he said was facts, though. This whole, I always win a trophy in my second season, you've really put yourself on that pedestal where now you're going to be judged, because this is a big comment, and he was really arrogant and cocksure with it. So when we do drop out of a cup, when we do falter in the league, people are going to keep banging that drum, and he's feeling it.
Right.
So no one told you to say that, Ange. No one told you to come to the club and say, I always win a trophy in my second season. Then he told the fans, let fans feel what they want. If they want to be happy, let them be happy. If they want to over-celebrate, let them over-celebrate. If they want to be upset, don't let fans feel how they want. We went into a massive game last season, Spurs, Man City. And it was, if Man City win, the title's theirs. If Spurs win, we give Arsenal the league title, and we've got to deal with that. But we blow our chances for top four. It split the fan base. He had an altercation with a fan that day. He turned around in the dugout, went over to the terraces and had a pop at someone. Well, hold on. You said let fans feel what they want. That fan is feeling what they want, and you're losing your mind. Why? You see, that's the contradiction.
Right.
This season, he said, and would you look at this season? How would you judge this season as being good or not? What determines a good season? He said the fans will be the judge of that. We'll see how the fans react tends to be the judge. So I'll let the fans decide. Well, the fans are now showing you what they think.
Yeah.
And you're ripping them a new one. What Ange, hold on a minute. You said let the fans decide. Fans are deciding and you don't like it. So don't say that then. And Sava, this keeps happening with him. He says things.
Yeah.
It then plays out. He doesn't like the way it's played out, but we're going by what you said. Trophy in the second season. Let fans feel what they want. Let fans decide. Well, is that not what we're doing? So I think he's cracking under the contradiction of what he's put out there to the fan base. Like, what do you want us as fans to do then? Like, just clap at everything. Okay, great. Yep. Great. Okay. Yep. Your words.
I guess your words, it doesn't help, right? It doesn't help that at the beginning of the season, he turned around and he said, I don't want to be top four. We should be challenging with this squad, right? And these are all his words, right?
Yeah.
Like that. Then he says things like before the Brighton game, the famous game where we're 2-0 up at half time, we're actually playing really well in the game and then collapse. He actually said before the game, he said, how are you going to control this game? We don't want to control it. We want it to be as open as possible. Then after the game, said, Ange, you didn't make the substitutions. Why didn't you go for it? I don't want undeserved points. Hang on, mate. We should be challenging. You don't want undeserved points. You don't want to control the game of football. I don't quite understand. It feels like, when somebody's a pathological liar, when they lie so much that they don't remember the lie they told, right? So they're constantly contradicting themselves. I'm not calling him a liar, but he constantly contradicts. And where I want to go with this, Stel, is it's not been a good year. Whichever way we mask this, whichever way Spurs fans want to put their excuses, and we do have the excuses bingo, don't we? Is it injuries? Is it drop of form of Son? Oh my God, but he lost Kane before he'd even joined. Whatever excuse it is, still, we're sitting 14th in the Premier League table. Only 4 Premier League clubs, 4 have less points than us. And that's the bottom 3 and Wolves, who had to sack Gary O'Neill to bring in Vitor Pereira to save them. We have got, I don't know if you saw this, we've got something like 44 points from our last 38 Premier League games. Like, that is relegation form over 38 games. We've got a 52% loss rate in the Premier League this season, which is utterly shocking. Yet still, this man is saying things like, it's not where we want to be. We know what we're working towards. Still, this looks like a man to me that's cracked. I think he's gone. And for his sake, I think he needs to be removed from the situation.
Well, the big question is can he pull it back? And it looks like he can't. It looks like it's actually getting worse with more players coming back from injury. So this was the big injuries. Okay, well, Odebert's back, Solanke's back, all your midfielders are fit except for Kulu. You've got your 2 centre-halves back, all the wing-backs are fit. So other than Dragusin and Richarlison, who, let's be honest, they're not here or there. Yeah. You've got everyone back, and it's getting worse. Where is this improvement? So it's whether he can pull it back. And the more games that we lose or we look average in, the more this is going to just become the pressure is going to pile on against him even more. And fans are turning, and rightly so. We pay a hell of a lot of money, and we expect a certain level at Spurs. And if we don't get it, we're customers. So what do you want us to do as customers? Complain or just keep buying the product? Well, customers are going to complain. I feel with Ange, part of me thinks get rid of him right now. The other part of me says just see it out to the end of the season because it's gone this far. I said all along, get rid of him in December. And then I said, get rid of him in January. It's our last chance to save the season before we play the FA Cup, the next round, the semi-final at Anfield.
Yeah.
The Cup knockout stage. Change it now and try and save the season. Well, we're out the Cups. We're in the quarterfinals. I don't know what manager we bring in right now, if I'm honest with you. I don't know what manager would take the job now. I think January maybe now. It's almost like they're jumping into a poison chalice for 10 games or 2.5 months. So I'm torn on this one. Do I think we're going to be successful with Ange? No. Do I think he's going to turn it around? No. But I do think that sacking him now, I don't know if it actually will change anything. Before I did think that, Sav. I thought January it will definitely change something. November, December it will change something. Yeah. Now, I just don't know. I think it's gone. Do you know what, Sav? I think it's gone so far. If you're going to get rid of him once the season ends, and we're completely done. So there's no excuse. There's no excuse.
Let me throw another angle of looking at that. Maybe, just maybe, devil's advocate. Somebody comes in and says, you know what? If I take over Spurs now, I've got 9 league games. It doesn't really matter what happens in those 9 league games. I've got 5 Europa League games to win the Europa League. Like maybe we talked earlier about, maybe do you give it to someone like Benitez for a 3-month contract? Listen, I don't want Benitez. I'm just using him as an example, by the way. Someone like a Benitez, a Terzic, somebody like a Xavi, and say to them, hey, we've got 3 months of the season left. We've got 9 Premier League games. We're in Europe. There's £1 million for 3 months' work. I'd take that. Here's £1 million, £2 million for 3 months' work. Go and win us the Europa League. Make yourself a hero. And the reason why it's really good that you mentioned that there, as though I paid you to, and I know I haven't, is in the last couple of hours, these reports have been coming out still about this guy. There's been lots of reports from Matt Law and from is it Jake Percy of the Telegraph, whatever his name is, said there have been reports that Bournemouth want to extend Iraola's contract, although sources close to his camp have indicated that he would be interested in the prospect of taking over at Tottenham. And then that was Again, it was the same people, just with a different spin from the Telegraph. You know, they're chucking Marco Silva's name into the mix. And so on top of all that, still today, he has floated out to be the second favourite manager to lose his job in the Premier League, only behind Ruud van Nistelrooy, who has won one Premier League game in 12 against Tottenham.
Of course.
Iriola, Silva, Spurs, is that an interesting job for them? They're doing well, but with all due respect, surely we're more attractive in the bigger picture than Bournemouth and Fulham.
I think at the end of the season, yes. But right now, no. I don't think they jump ship now. I don't. I think they're the kind of managers that will honour their position at the club, see out the season and do the best they can to leave their club in Europe. If Silva, listen, if Fulham or Bournemouth end up in the Europa, maybe, you know, long stretch Champions League, they won't, but if they end up in Europe, that's a great way to say, look, I've come here, I've done a good job, I've left you in a good place. I'm now going to something I think is the next step for me. Then yeah, but to do that right now, I don't think any of them do it, which is why I'm split on the whole Ange getting rid of him now. Sava, I'll be honest with you. I think even if another manager comes in now, I think it's too late anyway for the Europa, because I just feel the amount of work needed to develop players and to get them tuned into a new system. I think that I don't think there's time. You might get a 1 or 2 game bounce, but then I think it will just come unstuck again, because there's so many issues in this team right now that needs a good 3 to 6 months worth of work. And that's why I said get
somebody could come in and breathe some feel good factor. You know, like, listen, I don't think, I've said this all along still, I don't think our squad is as bad as many make it out. Like, you know, this is a squad that finished 5th last season, and we've
yeah.
Do you not think somebody could come in and let's just pluck a name? Again, I'm going to use someone who is available. I'm not just going to pluck in Iriola, who probably won't leave to the end of the year. Are you telling me that somebody comes in like a Xavi, like a Terzic, like a Benitez, and like get the group together and go, right, guys, you've had a shocker. This has been a terrible season. You know what? We're going to go out there and play. We're going to have some fun. We're going to go out there. We're going to defend. We're going to attack. We're actually going to show these fans why you're at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. And along the route, we're going to beat Frankfurt, beat Lazio or Bodo Glimt, and we're going to win that Europa. Do you not think there's that kind of feel-good factor being breathed into the Spurs training ground?
Yeah, look, a new manager will definitely stop this inverted fullback nonsense. So the fullbacks aren't playing as number 10s. So they will play as overlapping fullbacks, which will suit the players. We'll start playing with a number 10 that's got space to play as a 10 and not have to drop back to get the ball and end up being a number 6. We'll probably play with a 6, whether we've got a 6 in the club or not, but we'll play with someone that plays in that position. And I think the centre-backs won't be left 2 at the back whenever we go on the attack. So fundamental stuff definitely would change, and that will only make us better. There's no doubt that will make us better. Is it enough? I don't know, because I don't think Adogi is a 1 or 2 week fix. I think someone needs to work with him for a good couple of months. I think he needs time and proper coaching. I feel the same with quite a few of our players. Archie Gray hasn't played in his actual position since he's been here. I think he needs time for someone to work with him on that. Maybe, many months. Johnson looks like absolute garbage. He looks, and it's so terrible having to watch him play. I think someone needs to spend the season with him. So I think for some players, Sava, there'll definitely be a breath of fresh air. I think for others, it's so far gone that it's going to need a lot longer.
Look, do you know what? Still,
You're right. You're right. Sava, you're right about the feel-good thing, though. A new manager comes in, maybe frees some of the shackles, bit more dynamic, listens to what the players think. And look, let's try your way then. If you feel that's better for you, let's give it a go.
You know who I think benefits from it?
Then that might help.
That might benefits from it. I think Romero benefits from it. I think Van der Ven benefits from it. I think Son benefits from it. Solanke, Maddison. I think the key players, the Kulus, I think the key players, the Basumas, the Bentancurs, more of the senior players, for me, I think put your arm around them, tell them how good they are. Put your arm around Maddison. Tell him, mate, none of this track. I don't want you in our half. You're going to be my playmaker. And you know what? I'm going to give you 2 wingers that actually want to be wingers. And you know what? The fullbacks, don't worry about them. They're not going to be in your area. But look, I want to move on from that because we've only got X amount of time for the video. Still, all of these records that are being broken this year are not in a good way. You know, we've got our worst ever season in the Premier League points wise is 44 points, and that's from a 38 game season. Because remember, it started as 42. We are 10 points off with 9 games to go. We're 10 points off our worst ever points total. So we need 10 points to match it, and we need 11 points to not have that record. We've also, our biggest ever number of defeats in a 38 game season in the Premier League is 19. And that was in 2000 and whenever that was, under Ozzy Ardiles, in 93, 94, 94, 95, whenever that was. Currently, we're sitting at 15. We've just recorded last year in a calendar year our lowest ever number of Premier League points in a calendar year. What on earth are people seeing in this manager? Because the last stat I'm going to throw at you is last year in the calendar year was the worst number of points in a calendar year in the Premier League and the most goals conceded. What are people hanging on to with this manager? Why are more people not saying, hands up, time to go, mate? What's going on?
I think the club genuinely want to back a project. I think they genuinely want to support a plan, and they don't want to change direction mid-course. If this plan is a 3-4 year process, we're halfway through. I don't think they want to hit the retreat button or reset. That's what I honestly believe. But my concern is that they've backed the wrong horse for the project. Like you're going for this project. I don't know what it looks like because it doesn't make sense to me at the moment. For some fans, you know, they can see it all and it's all coming together. And fans like me, we can't see it. Okay, well, I don't see how this manager is the answer. And I'll give you a really good example. Man United in 1999 went to the Champions League final. They had a centre back that had to come in, right? Ronnie Johnson. Ronnie Johnson played centre back for Man United against Bayern Munich in a final. Paul Scholes, Roy Keane, both missing for either injury or suspension, right? Their 2 best centre mids out. Fergie adjusted it and beat Bayern Munich in that final. Granted, he had some top strikers to come off the bench, Sheringham and Solskjaer. I get that. But they stayed in the game. They stayed in the game against one of the best teams in Europe with one of the greatest goalkeepers of all time, Oliver Kahn. Yeah. And they beat them. So I asked myself, right, when we've got these key players out, what do? We play exactly the same. And then we don't do well. And yeah. It's things like that I look at and I say, no manager is ever going to have all their players fit. No manager is ever going to have everything he wants in place. And no manager is going to ever have every single player he wants to sign. It's not going to happen at any club, especially at Spurs. So you've got to show that you can navigate the terrain when it's rough. And with Ange, it's just a total collapse. You know, even the end of last season, the way we just blew top 4, and it wasn't the Man City game that cost us. It was the decisions we made away at Liverpool. It was the decisions we made when we played Chelsea. There were so many games where you think, why has he played him there? Why are you playing with that tactic? Why you skip up against Mohamed Salah? We know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So Alex Ferguson doesn't do that. And the reason I say, and the reason I'm using Man United as an example, before people watching the video say, oh, you can't compare Fergie to Ange. Well, yeah, I can, because the people that defend Ange say, but it took Fergie 4 years at Man United. So I can use that as the example because that's the excuse that's given to me. So when I look at Man United under Fergie and I look at what Fergie did in his past, mate, the Ange inners should never compare Ange to Fergie and what he did at Man United and how long it took him. It's absolutely bonkers. He proved
I compare him more to Darren Ferguson, who managed Peterborough.
Or Duncan Ferguson, who wasn't good when he was temporary manager at Everton, right? But even at Aberdeen, Fergie had to navigate the rough terrain, and he did it. He did it at Aberdeen. He broke the duopoly of Celtic and Rangers. No one does that. He beat Bayern Munich, beating Bayern Munich and Real Madrid. So, you look at Spurs when we're up against it, away to Anfield, capitulation, 4-0. Away at Aston Villa, absolutely lucky to be only one goal down in that game at halftime. Villa tore us to pieces, and it happens time and time again. So I don't believe Ange has got this strategic adaptability to navigate the terrain. And guys, we're going to have another rough patch in the future. Every manager has a rough patch. It is how you navigate it. And I don't think Ange can do it because he's got his one way. I need my certain set of players. All the boxes have to be ticked, and then you'll be impressed. But the problem is you're not going to have all your boxes ticked. No one ever has all their boxes ticked. So
completely agree, mate. Listen, just for the last couple of minutes, I literally just 2 more minutes of the video left. I just find it staggering. We were looking today, as we said, he's got a 52% loss rate this season, which is absolutely unheard of. He's got like a 1.21 points per game ratio. We actually looked today at since his first defeat, which, if you remember, was the Chelsea game. Who can forget the Chelsea game? I like to remind people all the time, this was the Chelsea game. So this was his first defeat. Since that defeat, that was 18 months ago now, by the way. Since that defeat, Ange Postecoglou's managed 57 Premier League games, right? And he's lost 27 of them. Like, that's 48%. So in 18 months, this man is literally losing 50% of games that he plays. So listen, for me, I think it needs to be changed. I do agree with you. I don't think he will go. Stel, if I had it my way, I would have had him gone 18 months ago. The moment I saw that high line at Chelsea, we did a video and I went, nah, he is not for me. That is kamikaze. I've run out of excuses for him a year ago. Loads of people have run out of them this year. There's still a few hanging on. I'll ask you this one last question, Stel. And literally for 60 seconds. There's this notion now that the league is dead. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if we lose. I'm completely against that. I feel like fans have paid extortionate money to watch, to travel, to buy shirts, to buy the programs, to buy kits, whatever it is. What do you feel in 60 seconds about this whole, it doesn't matter, the season's done now anyway in the league?
So when I did my coaching badges, we ran two scenarios. One where you protect players, give them as much rest time as possible. So when it comes to the big game, let's call that the Europa, they can go full throttle and give everything they've got. Then the other school of thought is, no, don't do that, because what you're asking to do is turn it on and turn it off like that.
Right.
Be progressive in the league, give players minutes, keep standards at a level in the league so that you take that momentum into the next game, Europa, and you're on it because you've been on it building up to it. Right? There's no right or wrong with this. My personal preference, and I don't have the information on football, but in basketball, they've shown the team that has momentum, even if they've played more minutes and they've used more energy, tends to be the team that wins at the end. Whereas the team that's got this break, rest, stop, go, they're or players, should I say, not necessarily teams, they're the ones where they come unstuck, because momentum is such a big factor, man. Momentum, and it's a bit like the gym, Sava. If you go to the gym once a week, and at the end of the month, I say, Sava, you're going to have a really big day. You might have a lot of energy for that big day. But if you go to the gym 3 times a week, and I say at the end of the month, you're going to have a big one, well, you might be more conditioned. You might be better physically. I can do it. I'm on it every day. I think if you neglect the league, with the amount of players we've got that have come back from injury and we've got to find our groove again, if you neglect the league, I think that pretty much for me seals us not winning the Europa Cup.
No, I agree. I'm going to end it there. I completely agree. I was always taught that you build to form, you don't switch it on and off. And that's the thing. For me, I don't think you can just say, oh, this week we're going to play all the kids, and then next week, boom, all the first team players are good to go. And look, Stel, I really, really appreciate your time. Everyone, if you haven't subscribed to Stel, any of my followers now that aren't Spurs fans, please get over to Tottenham Away. His link will be in the bio of this show. Really appreciate you. Thank you to helping me get over the first 1,000 in less than 4 weeks. Appreciate that, everybody. Do keep subscribing. Please like. Please watch the video, leave some comments and leave some football comments. I want to debate with you. I want to respond with you, but I just don't want the ag that goes with it. Talk football. Stel, thank you very much. Everybody take care. And as always, come on, you Spurs.